Good morning, Lord Jesus. Thank you for gathering us and for being with us now. You are the light. Shine within us now. You are the Word. Sound within us now. You are the door. Open before us. Open now upon the vision of your kingdom, already here in our midst. Good morning to all you other brothers and friends. We've looked a bit at God alone, monachus primus, the infinite loving awareness that is there. We've looked a bit at God and His creatures. We've looked into the world of no things, and we've watched things rise into being in that space of loving awareness, which itself is not a thing, but the ground of all things. We've seen things standing forth into existence in their own reality, held there by the pressure of His love. And I've poured out metaphors and images to express it. A dance, a play, a symphony, God's creation as God's dream, His song, His laughter, creatures as His thoughts and His delight. I'd like to linger a while longer in this world of creation before the entrance of man into the scene, just to look a little more closely at how God relates to His creatures. We saw last night that when God creates, He does so with no strings attached. He is not a celestial puppeteer. He loves things into existence and goes on loving them for all He's worth. Or maybe that would be better said, for all they're worth. And since all that He loves is good and very good, that would seem to be sufficient to assure a really good show. I'd like to dwell on that a little bit. I'd like to face into this question of God's control. We can put the matter paradoxically by saying that God is not controlling things, but that does not mean that things are out of His control. Someone might advert to the fact that God is creating things and so has ultimate control, in that any time He doesn't like what's going on, He can annihilate. Well, I suppose you might think that way. I don't think we learn anything from that. Annihilation not only doesn't sound like love's way, but it so closely resembles the coercion and violence of what human beings generally mean by power, that it is a better example of what I'm insisting God does not do. I've chosen to say that God is not running things, but is making them, precisely creating them, looking, it's my word, looking and loving them into being, constantly, continuously. All creatures, great and small, are being unwaveringly yesed, coming into being from within themselves, from beyond themselves, from within, beyond their centermost center. If you want to meet your Creator, you must travel to your own centermost center. Everything that is being smiled into existence by this knower-lover who looks them from within them. We see things that are there. He looks, and it is there. Our knowledge is like the camera. His is like the projector. We see things, he looks them. And what he looks is fully 3D. And the light of his look is infinite love. So his three-dimensional image is no image, no phantasm, but the thing itself. Some years ago, the theologians were struggling with this realization that God is not a creature, not a thing among the world of things, not just the biggest top thing. And some of them were saying he is not a being or not being. If they were saying something more profound, I didn't get it. At any rate, remembering that all language misses here, I'd rather say it this way. God is being. He's just being. The rest of us are becoming. We do be, I see you, and all the world. It is, it bees right in my face. Things stand forth, occupy space, address me with presence and power. Things be, no question. The whole universe bees, but it bees as a becomer. Creatures, us, we all be on the edge of not being. We're subject to instant and total attrition by the flying sands of time. Our kind of being is instant by instant. And time is wiping it away as fast as it comes forth. The secret of the next second of my existence is only that infinite love stands at its center, remembering the secret of everything's existence, remembering its name, and if it's a star, its number. He remembers and with infinitely faithful love lifts each thing into itself and towards its fullness. And that is the way he also controls the world. That's the way he corrects it later, by loving and loving and loving what he sees it to be, and from within, from beyond its deepest, centermost center. I suggested in one of these talks that the goodness of creation might best be approached by opening your eyes and your hearts to its beauty, to its fragile, evanescent beauty. And I think if we will but stand silent, with heart unshielded, in the radiance of any true beauty, anything fully seen, any fully seen creature will come at last to hear the beat of God's heart within it, his love at its centermost center, holding it instant by instant in existence into being itself. All things are becoming, and always will be. Only one simply bees. So the scene of this world of things, the morning of the sixth day, is one of perfect goodness and perfect harmony, but not by being pushed and shoved by the granddaddy thing, the biggest thing of all, but being made, loved into existence, loved into its own beautiful right kind of existence by the one who dreams it all up, the non-thing, the being who is not becoming. I have rejected the world of puppets and puppeteer. God creates with no strings attached. Love does that sort of thing. I will, however, risk the image of the composer. God is to this world a bit like a Bach or a Beethoven, or rather they are just a little like God. Every real thing is like God, as songs of God. But he is like none of them, or all of them put together, because he is so much more. Still, as his ballad of creation, as his ballad about himself, all creation is his sacrament, and we can learn to taste him in it if we will but reverently receive it. But I want to use this image. So think about a genius of music like Beethoven, who suddenly finds a symphony within his soul struggling to be born. It stands in the whole thing, in a sense, stands in the luminous space of his awareness and cries to him for existence. So he must set to work to transcribe it all to paper, to collect the musicians, to hire the hall and issue the tickets, and finally to conduct it into existence. That's a little like God, except that Beethoven has to sweat a lot more. God just wrinkles his eyes in a little smile, and the whole symphony is instruments and players and hall and audience just are, and are in action before you can wink an eye. They're all made of love, and that is in superabundant supply with him. So it's no sweat. God can't help loving infinitely. It's as natural to him as breath to us. But the point I want to underscore is that God does not underscore. He certainly is the maestro, the master, the composer and director, but he doesn't wave a baton, doesn't point to the first violin to come in or the cellos to soften. He just smiles. Or if that's too subtle, I admit I like to see him as a kind of laughing choiman band leader who doesn't direct, but who sits there pumping it all along with his happy ya, 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 ya. He enjoys, he delights in all his things, and because they are his things, all that they do is right. Even if it's a bit of a riot, even if while he's singing ya, 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 they are going clangety-clang and bip-bop-boo and bumping into each other like three stooges in a Laurel and Hardy, it's okay. He doesn't mind. He knows it's okay. Now, I want to leave this aspect for now. We'll see it again, but very briefly, I want to look at very briefly, at what God has dreamed up and loved into being. For me, Jesus of Nazareth is so crucial, so necessary as a body, a face, a place, a door into the Father's presence. Because even the creator of just this universe that we know, the creator of that is too much. And all indications are that his Father, this immense, loving awareness, can think a universe like ours while he's putting sugar into his morning cup of coffee. So I need Jesus as the door. But we can, in a sense, get Jesus too soon and never really glimpse who he is. So while, if we're awake, we are so aware of this immense awareness that is thinking it all, let's just glance at it all, just from end to end, to just get an inkling of the immensity and the intimacy of the one who is thinking its every minutest detail in absolute clarity, utterly present to every minutest detail, or it couldn't be. For anybody who wants to go into this a little more with the help of a book, I have a book here from Conyers. It's an old book. It's a little bit out of date, but it's pictorial. The world we live in. It's a Life magazine thing, and it can be useful to some. And I've posted in the dining room, and will transfer to here, a scientist's attempt to suggest the dimensions of the observable universe. A light year is like, 5,000 billion years. 5,000 billion miles. It's quite a walk. And we can detect the situation like something like we can look out and it comes into us, we don't look out. Detect the situation like something like 65, I believe that's what it is, I don't have it here, 65 billion light years away, the observable universe thus far. And it's love all the way out. And the most atheistic scientist is assuming that it's designed and intelligible all the way out. Otherwise, they wouldn't be scientists. Let me mention just, that's dimensions. It's the same all the way in. The further they go in, beyond the microscope, beyond the ion microscopes, it's design. And I'm saying the Christian revelation is that it's love in that design. But let me mention just some estimated birthdays from geology and astronomy. The universe, you can take your pick, 13 to 20 billion years ago. I read recently that there, as far as I can see now, there ain't enough, there's only 16% enough matter in the universe that they can observe for it to be reversible Big Bang. It's open-ended, it's historical. It's not cyclic. That's a digression which will run me over time. But I like that. Christianity is historical. Okay, the universe, happy birthday, 20 million years ago. The solar system, 4.6 billion years. The solar system, 4.6 billion years ago. Life on Earth, 3 billion. Take a million more or less. More. Richard Rohr gave us a retreat, and he got into something, I don't know how he got into this, but I remember his remark about God. He said, someone that can sit and watch dinosaurs eat grass for 20 million years has got to be up to something more than I can figure out. He's got different concerns than we have. But I say life on Earth, 3 billion years ago, that watcher of things watched for something like 2.5 billion years. He watched bacteria do their thing. And finally, maybe under the pressure of his watching, some of the bacteria, the blue-green algae they're called, began to mess things up for the rest. They began to produce a noxious gas called oxygen. And the age of the bacteria gave way to the rise of other forms of life. About 63, 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs had colonized, the reptiles had colonized the earth, and then bingo, something moved them out of the way for the mammals to take over. And sometime in the last 1 to 3 million years, man got his cue and entered the scene. The 6th day has been pretty long, but it took a really long time to arrive. And I don't want to leap ahead, but something else happened about 2,000 years ago. I think I have time. It's going to be a little jump. You had it this morning. Yahweh said, "It is not good that the man should be alone." I'm going to cry. "I will make him a helpmate." So from the soil, Yahweh God fashioned all the wild beasts and all the birds of heaven. These he brought to the man to see what he would call them. We need names. Each one was to bear the name the man would give it. The man gave names to all the cattle, all the birds of heaven, and all the wild beasts. But no helpmate suitable for man was found for him. So man's, God and man are looking for a companion to Adam. So, after that very quick history of the world, it is high noon on a clear and sunny 6th day of creation. And the butterflies are dancing on the dinosaur's nose, and God is in his heaven, and all is right with the world. And yet, somehow, the master is not quite content, like Adam passing all the animals in review and naming them, and somehow not finding what he's looking for. The master smilingly reviews this huge show, listens to this riotous and perfect symphony, and somehow is not content. He says to himself, "Let's make one like us, really like us."